Well, hello everybody. Happy Monday, beginning of the week, first day of the week. And it's going to be a hot one, it looks like, for the next couple of days. Hope we can all stay cool during this extreme heat that we're going to have. Well, some of you have to work outside, so that's not so much fun. So, anyways, I'm going to continue with Chapter 2 of the book, Healing the Wounded Child Within. Chapter 2 is reparenting. And we're reparenting that inner child that we have. And hey, Bob, how are you? I know for a lot of people, the inner child is one of those things that's out there, kind of, but it's real. A lot of us have experienced it, and it's been a huge part of a lot of our healing. So, what I'm going to talk to you today about is there's examples of types of behaviors that abused children exhibit at various stages of various life stages, depending on when their inner child was wounded. So a lot of our inner children were wounded the preschool age. Mine was actually in the preschool. It actually happened over all my life, from my preschool into my adolescence. With my mother starting it with her mental and emotional and spiritual abuse, physical abuse at a very young age. And then sexual abuse happened from my adolescence into my teens. I'm going to go through these. There's 3 different stages. Group 1 is for the preschool age. You can find all these in my book too, Chapter 2. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a lot of them. But the first group I'll talk about is the preschool age. And the second group is the grade school age, and then group 3 is the adolescent age. And all the references are in my book, so I'm not just bringing this stuff up out of myself, out of my own beliefs. This has all been research, and if you get my book, you can find all the references for everything I talk about every time I talk about my book in my book. Okay, I'm not going to go through all that today, but you may find, as I'm going through this, that you might relate to a combination of behaviors, or that your typical tantrums. Hey Jeff, how are you? Or that your typical tantrums are different from the ones below. So you might be able to relate. Mike, how you doing? You might be able to relate to some of these behaviors, and then you might not. You might have some other behaviors that came up that aren't listed. Like I say, I'm going to go through them right now. It's not a comprehensive list by any means. This is just intended to give you a starting place to get a picture of possible areas where your life has been hijacked or traumatized by your traumatized inner child. So it's just a starting point. Is all it is. And as I was reviewing this morning, it reminds me a lot of in every stage. A lot of this stuff is exactly how I was acting as an adult. So just, again, have an open mind with all this stuff. For a lot of you, it might be new, but it definitely makes, for those that are survivors of any kind of abuse, this can play a big part in the way you're acting today. And people might be looking at you, why are you acting this way as an adult? So the first group is going to be the signs of trauma responses for preschoolers. Okay. I'm not going to go over them all. I picked a couple different ones, and the first one I put down is: you become anxious and clingy, fearing separation from loved ones. You often crave attention and have a chronic fear of abandonment. I would say, probably without exception, I can say that every person that I have worked with, Tracy, every person that I have worked with that has some kind of trauma in their life, abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, sexual, they have a chronic fear of abandonment. Every single one of them, without exception. They're afraid that they're going to be abandoned. That's why they become clingy, because they're afraid they're going to be abandoned. So they do whatever they can to hold on to a loved one, or even when they get into relationships, they're really clinging. They've got to always have the attention, and it becomes overbearing. It's probably a bad case of codependency is what it is. But if you can know where it's coming from, because a lot of these people have been abandoned as children. And next week, if I have time, if not the following week, I'm gonna go over some stuff. I got a chart that will really, really explain what I'm talking about. If you know why you're acting the way you are, and then once you know why you're acting, because maybe you're controlling, okay, because of the fear of abandonment, then the key is, now I know why, but what caused that fear of abandonment? And if we don't know what caused that fear of abandonment, then we can't heal it. Joe up at the clearing in Washington says it this way. If you're sitting with somebody and you're talking, and all of a sudden you have a fear of abandonment or a fear of shame or self or low self, whatever, that feeling comes up in you when you're talking to somebody, and they tell you, all of a sudden, right now, I'm feeling, I got the shame coming over me. Okay, that feeling that you're feeling right now, the feeling, not the word shame, we use shame, but that feeling that's associated with the shame. When was the first time you felt that? Who were you talking to, and what were they talking to you about? If you answer it right off the top of your head, you've either done your own research or you're not digging deep enough. But most of the time, people can't do it right off the top of their head. But those three questions: when was the first time you felt it? Who were you talking to? And what were they talking to you about? That is the root of that shame. And unless we get to that point, and it's hard for people to get there because a lot of people have repressed so many memories, unless we get to that point, we won't be able to fully heal until we can get to that point. And I believe everybody can, whether they have a good mentor or a good coach that just kind of lovingly walks with them through the path. And then once we get to that, then we get back to our inner child, and then we can start rebuilding. But I'll go over that with a chart I got. It gives a little bit more detail and more clarification. Probably not next Monday, the Monday after. You become overly competitive when even extremely aggressive when you play with friends or loved ones. So, we're overly competitive because we've got to be the best at everything we can do. And a lot of that comes from not feeling like we're enough. We're not perfect. Hey, Gloria, Katrina. We don't feel like we're enough. We don't, we got to be the best at everything we can do at no cost. I mean, at any cost. So, we're over competitive on the, softball. I was playing softball. I was really aggressive, overly competitive. Everything I've done in my life, I've been overly aggressive and overly competitive because I had to be the best or work at being the best I could be so I could prove to everybody that I wasn't a loser or an idiot. Okay. And that's part of it is we're trying to prove our self-worth to those around us. And for those of us that are Christian, our self-worth, and this is really hard. I can tell you right now, our self-worth should come from God and only God. Right? I can say that now after being on a recovery path for 14 years, that I lean for that, but I still strive for affirmation from humans because we are human after all. Okay, but the switch will happen the farther you get into recovery. You might still be competitive, but what's your motive for being competitive right now? Okay, I'm not that competitive anymore. I've just got to the point to where, hey, what do I have to prove to anybody? Especially on my cycling, right? I mean, I ride my bike across America down the coast. What do I have to prove to anybody? I don't have to be the fastest or the strongest out there anymore. Okay, I'm just out there to exercise and have a good time and socialize with some good friends. So we'll tend to become overly competitive, extremely aggressive, when we play with friends or loved ones. Okay. And that could be, when we're doing it with friends and loved ones, that could cause a lot of harm, man. People are going to look at you like, well, what are you doing? We're family. Why do you like this? So another thing is we have magical thinking about our life. For example, bad things will happen if I'm too happy. And I used to think that all the time. When things got really good in my life, that's exactly what I thought. I can remember telling my staff when business got really good that you need to hold on because things are too good to be true right now. Things should never be this good in my life because I didn't think I deserved to be this happy and for things to be this good. In fact, that's why a lot of people that know me heard me say this. The exact reason I had the affair is because Kathy only did one thing wrong. Is she loved me unconditionally. She loved me better than I've ever been loved before in my life. And I didn't feel that I deserved it. And therefore, in my mind, I knew eventually she would leave me. She would finally catch on to a lot of different things and she was going to leave me. So instead, I had the affair. So we have this, this magical thinking like, bad things are going to happen when things are going good. And one reason that happens is if I look at my life, and I've talked to a lot of other people, that it's kind of a yin and yang through life and as teenagers. And when things were good at home, then they were always followed by bad. And then when they were bad, I got something good. So it was this yin and yang constantly. Good equal bad and bad equal good, no matter what. And so what I've learned is life is just life. It is what it is. There's no good or bad. Okay, it's just what it is. People put labels on everything. Life happens, all right? It comes at us in different ways. It has nothing to do with what we've done or what we haven't done. It's just life, okay? You're often told that you look mean or angry or intense when you don't feel that way. I can remember one time Craig Allen, rest his soul, he come up to me. I knew he was a good friend of mine. He was in recovery. He goes, Randy, why are you always so angry, right? And I looked at him, I go, I ain't freaking angry, screaming and yelling at him. I just was angry. And I didn't know any other way to be because I had all this rage and hate inside of me. And I didn't want to be that way, but I was angry. And then what happened is when I got in recovery, as I was doing this healing process, people would come up to me if I didn't have a smile, wasn't all jovial and happy. Randy, you okay? Well, yeah, I'm okay. Why? You don't look okay. You look angry. No, man, I'm not. I'm just contemplating stuff. I'm not angry whatsoever. I can remember when I talked to my therapist about that. She goes, Randy, why do you have to be angry, sad, or happy? Why can't you just be? Again, it's that everybody wants to label us good, bad, happy, sad. Sometimes we just are. And I don't know how I feel. Well, that's okay. You don't know how you feel. You just are. It's a good place to be, really. So those are just a few. I think that I hit 4 of the 8 that I got in the book. So I'm going to go to the next one. And you can, like I say, you can get these in my book. You might relate to these. You might not. I can't tell you. I can't answer that for you. So the next group is group 2, which is the signs of trauma responses for grade schoolers, for people in grade school. So I could relate to a lot in the preschool. Like I say, I was being abused by my mom physically and emotionally at a very young age. The first one I'll go in group 2 for grade school. Grade school is when your trauma it happened pretty much. You obsess over your influence on the people around you, both in terms of how they react to you as well as how you impact their lives. Thinking that someone is mad at you for a minor infraction, or wondering if you make others unhappy by having angry thoughts or feelings about them. Okay, so the grade school, we're trying to build friendships. We're trying to build friendships. And so a lot of times we're going to obsess over how can I influence these friends? What do I got to do to prove my way in it? What can I do in a positive way to impact their life? So it's something that we obsess over. A lot of people do. Some people do. Some people don't. The big thing is that the part about wondering if you make others unhappy or having angry thoughts or feelings about them. Now that is really powerful, because a lot of people don't understand anger, and anger is it's a perfectly good emotional healing feeling. Get John Lee's books on anger. He's a phenomenal psychologist that he does a lot of work on shame and a lot of work on anger. And so what happens is that we're afraid to be angry because a lot of us are told we can't be angry. We're afraid to be angry because we're afraid we're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And if we can express our anger in a way that's healthy, it shouldn't hurt anybody's feelings. And if it does hurt their feelings, if you're doing it in a healthy way, well, that's not our fault. But how many of us were taught that? How many of us were taught that we could go up to our best friend Johnny and say, Johnny, I'm really angry with you right now because after school, you and I were supposed to play catch, and you took off and went and played with the neighbors down the street. You went down there and played football, and you didn't even invite me. I just want you to know that I'm angry about that right now. All right. And Johnny could have says, you know what? Well, I'm sorry about that. I just forgot completely about us playing. Or, well, that's just what happened the way it is. And if you feel that way, that's on you, not on me. Okay. But he expresses anger instead of holding on to his anger, which builds up into a big old volcano until that happens 1 or 2 times or 3 times. And finally, he's so pissed off that he just explodes at his best friend, Johnny, and tells him he's a piece of junk and I never want to be with you again and you're mean and I don't like you no more. All those little games. Where if we can just talk about how we feel to people, the world would be a lot better place. We can be angry at somebody. It doesn't mean we don't like them or we don't love them. It doesn't mean we're unhappy with them. We're angry. Okay, cool. I get angry at my wife all the time. She gets angry at me. Okay, cool. You're angry. We'll fix it and move on. But if we don't know that somebody's angry at us, how can we fix the problem? Now, I understand as kids, it's a lot harder as a child to figure this out, especially if you don't have healthy parents teaching you about this stuff. So that much I get. But as adults, we can switch the behavior. It's real easy to do. It's just a matter of getting around healthy people that will walk you through the process. Another one is you compensate for feelings of helplessness by being highly controlling. So one of the biggest roots of control is something happened in your childhood that you were completely helpless over. You had absolutely no control over it. And a lot of abuse victims, this is exactly what happens. This is exactly what happens. Maybe my father died, all right, and I had no control over that. So, with my loved ones, I could be very controlling. I could be very controlling because I don't want you to die. So I'm going to do everything I can to overprotect you. I'm going to make sure I control what you do, where you go, how you do it, because I know what the pain of death feels like when somebody loses a father. It hurts. Or if you were sexually abused, you're going to be very controlling when it comes to intimate sex. You're either going to be overly sexed or underly sexed. You're going to be either overly aggressive when it comes to sex, or you're going to be very, very conservative. One of the two, because you're controlling what somebody does to your body because you lost that control as a child, as a teenager. Okay, so a controlling person we got to understand that we're not born with all these defects of character. We're born in the image of God. These defects of character, there's 2 things. It's all learned behavior, and some of it is the innate ability that we have just to survive. And we need those. And our inner child does whatever he can to survive because we're not getting protection at home. So who's going to give it to us? We got to develop our own protection source. Okay. We feel that our future is unsure, which causes us to engage in reckless behavior. How many out there do reckless behavior? I was a daredevil from day one. 15 years old. I was in a bad motorcycle accident in the dirt. Literally was dead on the ground. Doctor said when they got me to the hospital, I was back alive. They said I wouldn't make it through surgery. Do you think that stopped me from riding motorcycles? Absolutely not. All right, to the point to where I rode again probably when I turned 18. Of course, my mother and stepfather said, no way, you can't touch the motorcycle again. But as soon as I turned 18, I was back on it. I quit riding for many years, and then at the age of 40, well, in 2000, let's put this, 2009, I jumped back on a dirt bike, and the very first day on it, the exact same kind of bike that I had when I got my first accident. I got in an accident out in the desert, which resulted in a helicopter ride to Desert Medical Center. I was thinking about my age. I was 52 years old when that happened, thinking I was 20. All right, I've done reckless stuff all my life. You can call it, snow skiing. A lot of that was fun. I did it for fun, but also I was very daring at what I did. I didn't care. I did whatever, the steepest runs I could, whatever I could do, whatever I could conquer, right on the edge of catastrophe. That's what I did. Water skiing, the same thing. Kathy watched me fall one day in the Long Beach Canal, down in Long Beach Harbor, and she thought I was dead. I hit the water so hard. She was crying when I came up. So just go. I got to keep going, man. I might be old, but I'm not going to act old. So I've toned that way down. So probably the one thing I do is ride my bicycle, and a lot of people think that's a death wish, but hey, I could get killed by a car walking across the sidewalk. So, and another one we do is we become angry and feel betrayed when you feel the rules and when you feel the rules and other people don't. When you follow the rules, you became angry and feel betrayed when you follow the rules and other people don't, or when things don't turn out the way you thought they would. Man, that's a bad one. Rules are rules, and I still deal with that. I do everything pretty much by the book. I ran a big company for 20 years, and it was successful because I was very, not controlling, but very efficient. I hated rule breakers, and I still do. But what I've learned also is that they gotta deal with the consequences, not me. Hey, as I'm going, if anybody's got questions or anything, just pop them up, okay? I'm just going through this stuff. I know there's a lot in here, but this is the last group 3, signs of trauma response at the adolescent age, okay? You suffer from the crushing effects of feeling that no one can truly understand you. And almost every survivor that I know of any kind of abuse, well, you just don't understand what happened to me. Well, I do, but a lot of people don't. And it's those people that don't, that have well-intended, and their intentions are well-intended, but they actually do more harm than good to the people because they go about getting them to start their healing process in the wrong way. So if you don't know what they've gone through, it's going to be pretty hard for you to help them. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of people out there that can. So make sure you don't get into something that you're not qualified to do, is what I'm trying to tell you. Next one is you turn to drugs, alcohol, risky sex, or compulsive spending to escape from escape from or manage feelings of anxiety or helplessness. Almost every survivor, whether it's drugs or alcohol, risky sex, compulsive spending, it can be overworking, becoming a workaholic. It's all an addiction, and it helps you manage, because what happens is people can't sit, because then they'll have to feel their emotions and their feelings. And so we have to stay busy. We have to be working. We have to, we're not working, and we got to have drugs or alcohol to numb our mind, okay? Or we always have to be doing something, as long as it's not sitting by ourselves where we have to hear our mind and feel our emotions and feelings. That's the biggest cause of addiction right there. Is people don't want to feel the emotions and feelings that they're feeling. They do not know how to deal with them. And so what happens is with people that are addictive, it doesn't matter. It could be, like, say, from drugs to work to sex to whatever. So they start their healing path and they back off those coping mechanisms. And their coping mechanisms is what they are. Then they work for a long time until they quit working. So they back off of them, and now they're sitting with these feelings, and something comes up, and those feelings all rush back up. They don't know how to deal with them. So does this surprise anybody that people relapse? Because they're not given, they haven't been given the tools to work through the process and work through those feelings that they have to sit with sometimes. And we can't always hold their hand when they have those feelings. Then they're going to go to their default button. They're going to go to what they know works: drugs, alcohol, sex, overspending, overworking, any of that, because it's instant gratification. Recovery is not instant gratification in any sense of the word. It is nowhere near being instant gratification. It takes time. Okay? So be patient with those that are dealing with the drugs and the alcohol, overeating, overspending, overworking. Okay? Be patient with them, especially if they're coming into recovery. It takes time. You got to remember, people have been acting and doing things for a number of years. A number of years. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can't. It took me a long time to sit still, and now I can sit still and play my guitar. Or so it's getting to the point now where I can just sit still and do nothing. Which 14 years ago, there was no way I couldn't sit still for more than 5 minutes, and I'd have to be up doing something else. So it takes time. It takes surrounding yourself with a very healthy community of people that are understanding and loving, right? That's the other thing about any of this recovery. You've got to find the community that's going to understand you. There's a lot of different communities out there and a lot of different ways to heal, but does that community thoroughly understand you, your issues, your problem, your healing process, all of that? If they don't, then there's some out there, then you need to move on and find one that does. Okay. We got two more. You're highly critical of yourself because your self-image is extremely low. You find it difficult to celebrate any victory since nothing is ever good enough. That was me, because a lot of the worst abuse came in my adolescent years when my stepfather stepped in and started really, really tearing me apart emotionally and beating me in the sexual abuse. Nothing I've done in life, even being a successful contractor, in all the successes I had in my life, it was never, ever good enough. Never. If I succeeded at one thing, somebody told me how good it was, I thought it was nothing. I discounted it. It wasn't that good. I could have done better. How many people do that? How many people are sitting there and you're wearing a nice jacket or a nice dress or a nice shirt, and somebody comes up and says, "Hey man, that's a beautiful jacket you got on today." And you go, "Oh man, nothing. It was a cheap one. I got it at Kmart." Did they ask where you got it from? They complimented you. They didn't ask where you got it from. They complimented you. And your only response is this: "Thanks. I like hearing that." That's it. It's real simple, right? Or whenever I was, whenever stuff at work, the same thing at work. I can never take a compliment. Nothing was ever good enough. And believe me, when things went wrong, oh yeah, when things went wrong, I was a piece of junk. There you go again. You can never do anything right, Randy. You just like your stepfather told you. It's never good enough. It's not good. Look at the mistake you made. It's like the mistakes I'm making are mistakes that human beings make. But when you grow up with critical parents that are constantly putting you down, when you make a simple mistake, it's a huge mistake in your head. Okay. And the last one is I put you isolate. Yeah, I want you all do this for me. So I learned this in a session at Betty Ford with a bunch of the alumni volunteers. When somebody compliments you, it's hard. But if you discount their compliment, here's what I want you to think about. Maybe that person has been working with somebody because that person couldn't give people compliments. All that person did was put people down all their life. And they might be working with a mentor or sponsor or coach or whatever and say, look, I want you to see nothing but the good in people. And when you notice something, like somebody's wearing something nice or they do, I want you to compliment that person. Okay? So imagine those people are out there, but you don't know who they are. And so somebody comes up and gives you a compliment, and you go, man, it's no big deal. Nothing, anybody could have done it. That person could have you might have been the first person they came to give a compliment to, and you just said, you negated it. It's like, there you go. Nobody cares about my compliments. I gave a person a compliment. It's just no big deal. Anybody could have done it. All right. It's like taking a Christmas present and saying, oh, great. You throw it over in the corner with a pile of Christmas presents you've been getting for the last 10 years. Instead, when somebody compliments you, it's real simple. You don't have to elaborate or nothing. Just, thanks. I really like hearing that. You just made my day. That simple. Honor the person that gave you a compliment. Let them feel good about themselves for giving you that compliment. Don't discount it. We've all done it. I did it for years. I never thought I was good enough. But that's all a lie, okay? Again, this is stuff that if you've been acting a certain way, or you've had these behaviors for years, like for me, it was 38 years that I had some of these behaviors. It took a while for me to change. It doesn't happen overnight. How long you've been acting this way, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you surround yourself with people that love you and people that can gently remind you about your behavior and how to look at things differently, it will help you immensely. And the last one I'll put down is you isolate yourself and have a tendency towards depression and suicidal ideation. So a lot of survivors, that's exactly what happens with them. They become isolators. The suicidal ideations will come up. Some of them actually can try to commit suicide. Some do. So it's something we have to be aware of. They just get to a point of feeling desperate. They don't know, I can never get out of this. I can't. This feeling I've got is so dark, and I've been there. I mean, look at there's a couple of different kinds of depression. First of all, there's a clinical depression that you need to be diagnosed with, and under that clinical depression, there's different levels of depression. And that clinical depression is something that nobody has any business speaking over your life into, because unless they're a psychologist or a therapist, because that clinical depression is such a dark place. I would have people say, just get out of bed, Randy. And I was getting out of bed and I was going to work. And they said, well, just get over it. And what saved me was my grandmother, who had the same thing. And she says, Randy, she goes, nobody's going to understand what you're feeling like because they haven't had the clinical depression. Right? And so it's brutal. It's hard. It's wicked. Back then they put me on the meds to help me through it. And actually, I was on meds for a while for it, and it's okay. I'm a proponent for meds. But the other thing that we look at when it comes to depression is this. And remember, I'm not diagnosing nobody. I haven't even had the time to sit down, so I'm not diagnosing a person. These are two different thoughts. Okay. The other type is that, and this really helped me on my journey a couple of years ago. Are you depressed, or are you just sad? You had a cat die, dog die. You had a mother die, whatever. You had somebody that was close to you die. Okay? Are you depressed or are you just sad? Look up all the clinical definitions of depression. Because more than likely, again, I'm not diagnosing you, but more than likely, you're just sad. And that's okay. You're sad. And you're going to grieve because you're sad. Doesn't mean you're depressed. It just means you're sad. And sometimes sadness can feel like depression. Okay, so just be aware of that. That's all I want to say on that. Be aware of that, okay? So remember that all of our inner childs are different. They're not all the same. Some are spoiled and angry. Some are shy and anxious, and some are fearful and self-harming. So if you were with me last week, I don't have it right in front of me, but the inner child is absolutely real. Sean, I'll go to Amazon.com. At the end, I'll announce it. I'll put everything up there about my book, Sean. Okay? Sorry about that, guys. Somebody asking about my book. And some are very, they're self-harming as well. Some of the inner children can be very self-harming, right? It's that inner child just reaching out because there's so much pain. They want to self-harm. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that cut, they're cutting because the physical pain is easier to deal with than the emotional pain. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that they're cutting. And I've talked to a couple cutters. I want to know because I deal with a lot of this stuff. So, but regardless of the personality, the good news is that, like flesh and bone kids, inner children respond quickly and well to even the smallest intervention. So it can be it can be easy to heal, but it just takes time. It's hard. Like I said, the inner child, a lot of people struggle with the inner child stuff. So if you struggle with it, I understand, because I did too when my therapist first told me about it, but it is real. It is real. And, you just simply use you when things, like you feel abandoned. The simple thing is, if you feel an abandonment as an adult, that's when you step in today, because today you're an adult. And if you know you're safe, I'm safe, I'm good. Is it true that I'm being abandoned? And is it absolutely true that I'm being abandoned? And you just tell that little kid inside of you, we're okay. Nobody's abandoning us. Everybody loves us. This isn't mom or dad or grandma, whatever, but we're safe. And you have to remind that inner child that you're safe. And believe me, it works. Okay? When you reparent the inner child, providing a safe, loving environment in which he or she can heal from the trauma, you finally stop the doomed attempts to fix your pain externally. Okay, so when you fix that inner child and you start being able to comfort him, then you're going to quit churning through your career or your mate or drugs or alcohol or status or money. Really start healing from the inside. Instead of healing from the outside with things, you can heal from the inside with God and your heart and your feelings and your emotions. Okay, this is a crucial stage in our healing process, this inner child stuff. So next week I'm going to talk about some simple ways to start healing your inner child. Okay, and then if time allows, I'll do that diagram. If not, then I'll do it the week after, and it will really, really explain a lot of stuff to you. Okay. Don't forget about my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within. You get it on Amazon. It's available paperback, Kindle, and also Audible. So you can get it. That's all available on Amazon. Or if you live here in the Valley, just hit me up. I got books all the time, and I can get you a book. Hi, Denise. So again, Amazon.com, you get my book. Check out the website, courageoushealers.org, for the foundation. Check what's going on there. we're still trying to raise money to get I want to be able to get a storefront, be able to start hiring people to really take this to the next level. So if you're looking for something to donate to where it's 100% tax write-off, you can go to the foundation page, courageoushealers.org, and just donate. Donate on the website. There's a donate button. You can set it up for a monthly donation or a once a year donation or whatever. But any donations would be greatly appreciated. We're working really hard to move to the next level. If you're looking for coaching, I do a lot of coaching. You can visit my coaching website, changeyourlifestorynow.com, changeyourlifestorynow.com. You can see what I got available for coaching. But coaching is I just posted a video last week, the difference between coaching and therapy. So coaching is a great way to get you unstuck in some areas of your life. And I can coach from anything from addiction to abuse to business to marriages. And Kathy and I, we do couples counseling as well. So we offer all that. And then I want to announce this too. On September 21st, we are going to have a fundraiser for the foundation, a golf tournament. It will be at Talkowitz Creek in Palm Springs. It'll be Saturday, September 21st. That'll be a shotgun start at 7 o'clock in the morning. It'll be a 2-man scramble. We'll put together 4-man groups, but it'll be a 2-man scramble. It includes, I'll include some snacks for breakfast. It includes 2 drinks, beer, wine, water, soda, and a taco bar for lunch. Registration is $75 before August 15th, and $10 of that goes to the prize fund. And then after August 15th, it'll be $85 a person. And again, all the same stuff is included. So we're also looking for whole sponsors to do that, and just sponsors for the tournament period. We're also looking for raffle prizes. So if you want to sponsor a whole, contact me. It's $100 for a whole sponsor, and we'll put a sign out there on the whole with your business or your name or whatever. If you have raffle prizes you want to forward to us, that'd be great also. Okay. So that's it for today. I think I went a little bit lengthy today, and I apologize for that. There's a lot of information. I've been trying to keep these down to 15 to 20 minutes, but I'm too long-winded. So remember, nobody tells you they love you today. Randy does, but more importantly, God does. Have a blessed rest of your week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in with me today. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.